10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
Look, up in the sky, it's a bird.
It's a plane!
There's no need to fear.
I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, 'cause I'm black.
Hey everybody, welcome back to Supa Black, an all-black panel podcasting experience where we talk about all things superhero, past, present, and future. From Marvel and DC to anime, there is no stone we will leave unturned as we take a deep dive into the genre of superpowered individuals and the worlds they inhabit. I am your friendly neighborhood host, Zuri Washington. I use she, her pronouns, and you can follow me on IG at Zuri with a fringe on top. That's Zuri with a Z, not Suri with an S. I'll leave it to the rest of today's Supa panel to introduce themselves. Take it away.
Hi, everybody. My name is Omar Washington, he, him. And you can't follow me on social media right now, as my pages are private, but I will rectify that soon. But in the meanwhile, you can catch me here.
Hi, everybody. My name is Jamal James. Pronouns are he, him, his. You can follow me at the Jamal James on Instagram, Twitter, or Facebook.
Hey, good morning, everybody. I don't know what time it is for you, but I think it's morning all the time. It's Richard Harden. He, him, his. You can follow me on Richard_Harden, Hardon. Spelled different, but it's me. Instagram, Facebook. I'm all over the place. Excited.
Hello, everybody. My name is Jason Williams. He, him, his pronouns. You can find me on Instagram at BlueRanger83.
And don't forget to follow the podcast itself on Supa Black Podcast on IG, or you can follow us on Twitter at Supa Podcast. And now that we are all assembled, let's get started. So today on the show, we actually have a very special guest. She is an actor and a producer. You may know her from her riveting performance as Jamillah Olsen in the last 2 seasons of Black Lightning on CW, which is now thankfully on Netflix, and I can watch it over and over and over again. Or you can find her on the most recent season of Hawkeye, which hopefully will have more seasons so we can see her some more. But she just played Wendy Conrad, which was our lovely lesbian LARPer, who was also Bombshell. Spoiler alert. By the time anyone's listening to this, hopefully everyone will have caught up on all the episodes of Hawkeye.
Oh no!
But no, she didn't. Nothing happened. She literally, it's in the second episode. So if you missed it, too bad. But she coming up. That's on Disney Plus, BT Dubs. But coming up in 2022, you can catch her in Devotion, starring Jonathan Majors and Glenn Powell. And so, without further ado, panel, can you please give a warm welcome to Adetinpo Thomas?
Yes, sis.
Hi, everybody. Thank you for having me.
Hey.
We're so happy to have you. I'm so glad that Mari was able to connect us. And I was so excited when I saw you, when I first saw your character, like you were just Wendy. And I was like, oh, she's so cute. Who's that cute lady? Who's that cute lady with a wife? Oh, I'm so happy. I don't know what to say. So, tell us what it was like shooting on. Well, first, let's start with Black Lightning, because I saw some of your pics of like doing your hair for Jamillah and getting all those cornrows done every time you had to be on set. Every day. How long did that take?
I would come in a couple of days before I was shooting, and they made my hair for like 2 hours. Like nothing crazy.
Wow.
Okay.
Dream. But the dream.
And it was actually really nice because the whole hair department was black. So it wasn't, oh, please leave my edges alone. Or no, don't use that. Here's some Dr. Miracle. Like they really were like, it was like, okay, girl, how you doing? Like,
yes.
It felt really good.
Yeah. And was that was shot in Atlanta?
Yeah. Black Lightning shoots here in Atlanta.
Yeah. You're local in Atlanta, right? You born and raised.
And also, I'm gonna keep wondering this. Is Richard Omari's dad?
Yeah.
Okay, I was like, I know him.
She's on TV. There she is.
Hi, you again. Probably since Amari's like graduation party, but hello.
But yeah, I was really, I wanted to ask you about like how the experience was, because it looked amazing. To just having a Black hair department is key when you're on set, and so I can only imagine it was just the time of your life, because it would be the time of my personal life. But yeah, but yeah, tell us more about backstage at Black Lightning. What was that like?
It was, I learned so much. I was like, how do I phrase that? I learned so much. I was really, really lucky to, fun fact, have been on the crew of Black Lightning. I was a casting. And I'd been auditioning for Black Lightning every season in multiple episodes for years. So I didn't think anything of it when I auditioned for Jamillah, only then to find out while I was in a production meeting that I was Jamillah. So, but it was also nice because everybody was rooting for me. Familiar with a lot of the people, and I think there's a lot of benefit to have worked in several different departments in a film production, because so many people walk in and they're like, you're welcome here. But so many other people's jobs are so much harder. So it's great that I had the opportunity to be a PA on that. But I've also, been a stand-in, been an extra, been a photo double. So to get there and be in front of the camera was also very scary. If I'm going to be honest, if we're going to be the true, I was super anxious because I didn't want to let anybody down. And I think also the beauty of then knowing the crew is that they were rooting for me. And it's not theater. If you mess up, they'll just do it again. And if you mess up, they'll just do it again. And if you mess up on a different part than the last time, they can just cut them together. So like there was no failing. And I think being able to learn that in quick succession in a place where I knew people who were rooting for me was such a blessing. And I was super grateful.
Yeah.
Also, it was very Black, so that's also very comforting as well.
Sure.
Yes.
Yeah.
So you kind of mentioned already like how you got started in some of these shows. So how do you feel like going, you're doing one superhero show in Black Lightning and then you go to another one in Hawkeye? Like, what is that experience like being part of this like superhero world? Like we all kind of fantasize about being superheroes as kids. So like, what is that like getting to actually be those characters?
It's actually really exciting because compared to being born magical or having some sort of superpowers bestowed upon you through insects, it was a scenario where somebody who is in the community is taking it upon themselves to do something that's right. I know Hawkeye technically started off as like an assassin, and and I want to call him Cress. Oh my God, what's the name of the dad? I'm
Jefferson.
Cress Williams.
Jefferson.
Yes, yeah. Jefferson. So the two of them, did end up finding their strength and their herodom in different ways, but it was so much about giving back in a very immediate way. And I think that was super empowering. Also, the fans are very loyal and very excited, and there's very few people who are just trolls for no reason. So it was cool to go from the DCCU to the MCU and know that I would be able to like go to cons and like know both sides of the team. Rivalry is funny to me, but also somewhat justified, right? Like there's merit in every argument. So it's cool. I saw such positive notes, but it's actually really exciting.
Yeah, I love that.
You're a pan-dimensional entity now. You exist in both universes. It's like,
Yeah, and somebody actually pointed out to me that I'm technically also in the Walking Dead universe because I've been a zombie on the show and a couple times. So I was like, I'm in the DCU, the MCU, and the TWD. So like, no, yeah.
Was that a lengthy makeup process for that?
Yes.
How long
It's not too insane. A lot of the zombies you see like in the background, some of it's just airbrushed. If they're further back than that, they started putting people in masks. But the last time I was there, if you're right in front of the camera, it's 2-3 hours of prosthetics. And then back out. And then what's wild is that because I have such like a sharp haircut, the fade back here is, edged up. They had to put me in a wig or they would just have to really mess up my hair. So often they're reluctant to make me hero zombies, they call them, because had to like do so much to make me grotesque.
Okay. Oh.
You said I'm so cute. So they couldn't make
I was too beautiful to be a zombie properly, so they had to really.
So that's what they clarify as a hero zombie.
Yeah. So if you're right in front of the camera, you're a hero zombie. That's what it was back in season 7, like 1 through 7.
You're like hero zombie. You're not saving nobody.
Yeah, right. But you're a hero to the other zombies because you get screen time.
Because you get screen time.
Go represent us, Doug. Like it's a team effort out there in the hot sun when you're wearing like flannel in July.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
So obviously you're an Atlanta native. Tell us more about the scene in Atlanta. I know it's like popping. Like I have not made my way down to Atlanta very much. I'm a New York City girl. But,
Chocolate City.
But what's the scene been like for you in working in Atlanta for as long as you've been? How long have you been working for?
I officially stepped into the industry with the agent in 2016.
Okay. Wow.
Oh, okay, cool.
Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah. But I will say my family moved here in 2006. I actually grew up in LA.
Oh,
so
okay.
it just happened to be that we moved to Georgia, and then like 2 years later, they're building all these,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Repeat your question. Sorry. What's it like here? It's great. It's nice to be somewhere where I don't know if you guys have moved a lot, but anytime I've had to go to a new city, I'm always like, damn, is there a hair salon that I can go to? So the representation here is very comforting because if it's Thai food, if it's Indian movies in the Bollywood movies in the movie theater, like all of that is so accessible because in Atlanta proper and the perimeter, there's so much diversity and inclusion. But the diversity isn't just racial, it's also religious and things like that. As for the industry here, it makes things more accessible, but I think people underestimate Atlanta talent and how hard it is to also be in the industry here. Anywhere you have to get to know the casting directors. You have to then build your reputation with them. You still need to find reps at that. So it's just like LA and New York in that vein, but I think because the pool is a little bit smaller and there's so much that they're filming, it's more likely that you're going to get a one line on The Resident. Versus you being in LA, it might take you 5 years to do that versus maybe a year and a half in Atlanta. Not because it's any easier, but just because you're able to get in front of more casting directors and there's fewer casting directors so they can all know you.
Right.
No, I'm glad that you said that because I just recently went to LA and I know people will talk often about like how different each city or
market
each city is, from Atlanta to DC to Chicago to New York to LA, like where the people say like, ooh, go to act. And what I found is that like, yeah, there's differences. There are like architectural differences, but like when thinking like people will be like, ooh, LA is very vain. I'm just like, I don't think it's any more vain than New York or anywhere else. Like just people, like the architecture of the place is different. You still have to work. You still have to put your butt to the pavement. You still have to like treat it as business. You still have to like work on your craft. Like I don't think that changed just because of the city. So I was just like, I'm glad I have moved around a little bit. No, please.
No, I was just gonna say, I will say the one thing about Atlanta is that the quality of life is better. You just have like one part-time job and then be an actor versus New York, you'd be waiting tables, walking dogs, and like babysitting. In LA, it's the same too.
Drag me. You just said my whole
No, I mean, we've
life.
all been there.
Yeah.
Like it's so you have the opportunity here where, if you're doing those same 3 jobs, you might be living by yourself in a 1-bedroom versus in LA, you still might be sharing a bedroom with somebody else. I will say the quality of life is better. I feel like the pace is a little bit slower as well. So it doesn't feel so competitive. People are actually really supportive of each other. There's so many people in Atlanta who will book something, will be in a movie, and we're just like, Atlanta, like we're out here. Gang. Like it's not as cutthroat, I think, but that also is a Southern hospitality thing.
Yeah.
But you set the tone for what you want. And I think LA for so long that people come in and they've had to struggle for so long that by the time you start doing it, they're a little bit jaded. And I think here what's really helpful is that you're doing self-tapes. So you're not in the room and you just sat in the lobby with 12 people who look just like you, and it could be either any one of you because it doesn't really matter. Here, you're putting in your tape, you don't book the thing, and you see who did it, and it was like some older Asian man, and you're like, oh, good for him. Like, that's what's you're not like, oh, they just wanted a lighter skin version of me, and that's why I didn't get it. You know? So there are definitely nuances, but I think it's easier to find peace as an artist and not feel so like your soul is being drained here than if you were in New York or LA. But I think there's also higher status things that you can do in New York and LA. I didn't answer the question the first time very well because I now have all this new stuff to share. But what I will say is they book a lot of co-stars out of Atlanta, which is like, under 5 lines, maybe just a page of dialogue. And then often they'll fly people in from New York or LA to do guest stars. And of course, the series regulars, the top tier people are being cast out of those cities as well.
Right.
What's now happening, and Jamillah and Wendy are good examples that they're starting to trust Atlanta actors to do guest star level work, and then seeing the benefit of it because we are already here. So you're not flying people in. You can just use the local talent because the local talent happens to also be phenomenal.
Speaking of Jamillah and Wendy, my question for you, it's fascinating to me that in the 2 universes.
I feel like I know where this is going. Go ahead.
No, in the 2 universes that you're in, you play lesbian characters, and that's amazing. The representation that you have been able to, you as an actress have been able to give to flesh out these universes. Not that Black Lightning has always been good about that, because from the beginning Anissa has been gay. That has never been a big deal in the universe. But it's amazing to me that in the 2 things that I've seen in the last year and a half I've been watching, I'm just like, oh, cool. Please continue doing that. I hope that keeps happening for whatever apparent reason. But what do you have to say about that? In terms of,
I think it's so archetypes in the industry are real.
Sure.
It's very easy to be typecast because people don't have to convince you of what's happening.
Yeah.
Right. So I would also argue no one said Jamillah or Wendy were lesbians.
Fair.
I think they're more bi/pansexual person. Loki could get it as quickly as Harry. So let's not
limit it.
The love,
right?
But I think if I was really to be succinct, I think it's because I present very confidently and I have short hair. And they're like, likes. That's it, So I also get I audition a lot for cops and FBI agents and lawyer too, because it just reads very professional, clean cut, strong.
And that confidence carries across, sister. You were so pushy in Black Lightning.
Yeah. Ooh. Sorry about that, everybody.
No apologies needed.
Damn, that's my bag. Your mama didn't give you your own bag? My bag.
Well, and I don't know if I'm allowed to say this, but once upon a time there was a line where Hawkeye is like, and give Wendy her bag back. But they took it out, so I guess I never got the bag back.
That's what I kept thinking. I was like, she never got this bag back.
We need to start a campaign because
I'll start it.
I was played. They promised me
I'm glad that you pointed that out, because I was just my brain thought, I guess she gets it back later. I don't know.
If you don't get listen, I think that this is just an origin story. You didn't get that bag back, so you said, fuck you, Hawkeye. I'm coming after you and yours now. And that's what's gonna happen.
Juggling bombs.
Wait. Has anyone, before you even talk about it, has anyone here not seen all of Hawkeye? Anybody?
I have not seen any.
Wow, Omar. Wow, Jason.
I can't talk about no spoiler territory at all.
Do you feel bad about yourselves?
No.
You should. What is it like to feel irrelevant?
I don't feel bad because mine was for a good cause. Okay, mine was for a good cause. Right. I was catching my family up on every single Marvel movie, so I didn't watch Black Widow or anything until just yesterday because we had to catch up on everything, and I don't want to watch Hawkeye without watching that. So it was for a good cause, so I don't feel bad.
See, the thing is, I know you have kids. I know you have
Hawkeye's
kids.
next.
I
They're
feel
young.
you there, but I'm also You should have just stuck it for yourself, man. You
Yeah.
should've watched everything for yourself.
Did you watch it all in order? Like in order?
I've watched them all in order. I've watched them all as they come out, except recently. So, but yeah, with the family, yeah, I watched it in the order that they were released.
No, I mean the chronological order of like time. So you'd be starting with Captain America.
Marvel.
No, in chronological order.
Mhm.
Oh, yeah.
No, I watched them in order of release.
Release
With
order.
the kids.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Because they said that it messes with the after credit sequences. Like it
Oh, yeah.
spoils
That's
some
fair.
things for movies
It
if you
does.
do that. That's why
Yeah.
whenever I've shown it to somebody who's like, "Ooh, I want to learn a little bit about this. I'm like interested in the Hulk or something." I'll be like, "All right, you got to watch it in release order because you will screw yourself if you watch those."
Completely.
I think that's fair for a first time around. Watching it chronological order might be confusing. But before Endgame, I watched it back in chronological order, and it was very fun to see the growth and to see what was going on and to see how many things they had to retcon to like make sure that this made sense.
Yeah.
Nice.
So can I ask a question?
Yeah.
I feel like you maybe get asked this because you're in both universes. Like, I don't want to get you in trouble, but what universe do you prefer?
That was kind of my question. But
Yeah,
okay.
like
You know what? I feel like I can say this because they killed Jamillah. I prefer you. That's why. But I always have.
Yeah.
yeah.
But I've always rooted for MCU. I've always like, oh, the movie came out, let's go see it in theaters. So excited, so ready. When I was bought in when Iron Man came out, let alone the rest of it.
Yeah.
But with the DCU, I think it was a harder sell for me. I also have an older brother, so I think he was more Marvel oriented and like watching the X-Men and things like that. And that animated series versus, what Batman was doing.
Were you just as interested as it when you were a kid? We talked about it ourselves about like what was our origin stories for like comic book characters. Was that?
I'm ashamed to say, but I'm willing to admit that I haven't read many comics.
I'm on the same page, so don't worry.
But I've seen a lot of the animated series, and I think, X-Men, right, is an allegory for like diversity and being people of color. So it's like, or people of the global majority. I prefer that phrase. You watch that and you can identify with that. I feel like when it came time to flip it on its head, I never really watched like Wonder Woman. I think that also wasn't on TV for me to see in the first place. Yeah.
What's your favorite comic book character that you align with?
Like the character as it was written or the character as it was presented in a project?
That's a good question. I guess as it was presented in a project.
Okay. I really ride hard for Lupita's character in Black Panther.
Lupita was in Black Lightning.
Yeah.
That was the 5th season. Too bad,
Too bad.
No, I really appreciated. I am so nihilistic that it circles back around to optimism. So I like Killmonger and Thanos, and I'm like, but he's making a good point though.
Okay, yes.
So watching Lupita, I wish I remembered the character's name. But watching
Nakira? Something like that.
Dark Skin and Beautiful.
Okay.
That's what they called her.
Yeah.
But watching her advocate constantly for what was right and being the bug in the ear and being the person that was like, oh, I know this is uncomfortable, but this is what we need to do because where integrity lies. I very much align with that because I will every day bully somebody into being their best selves, whether they want to or not. So like, that's my jam.
Oh, that's my jam too. I feel you so hard on that.
Yeah.
She was Nakia in Black Panther.
Nakia.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Now, along those same
I got a
lines,
question. This is
go please. Yes.
So it's combination of your background because knowing you got all this live theater professional training,
Yeah.
converting to the camera, what was that like for you? And then what part would you be in Rogers the Musical?
Okay. Well, the second question's hard. I did find it a little difficult at first. And I remember actually getting an audition while I was still in grad school. and the framing was like me sitting in a chair and the camera was like 5-6 feet away. The reality in a self-tape audition is like, this might not be tight enough for what they're asking for sometimes. So that kind of rookie mistakes where I didn't realize what I needed to be doing. And then also a lot of the physical training that you get, a lot of the technique isn't necessarily as applicable on camera, because some things it's like I remember learning how to create a body for a character. You could change the way they walk, you could change the way they like hunch their shoulders, or what part of their body they lead with, because that'll tell you if they're sexual or really brainy, like that kind of stuff. But then to be on camera, if you're just right here, 99 times out of 100, they actually just want you and what you are like, because they're already fitting you into some archetype. But when it gets to the more cerebral, the more indie especially stuff, then being able to do that character work, I feel becomes more of a luxury because you have more text to work with. Because nobody cares like about my backstory if I'm serving Robert Downey Jr. coffee and I walk away and you never see me again. Like no one wants me. Here's your coffee. And it's because my dog just died right before I had to. Nobody cares. That's not the point, right? So doing the really intense actor work doesn't really mean anything until you get bigger opportunities. And I think it was hard to adjust to because I wanted to be so detailed in who these people were. And then you get the characters that then you don't book it, and then you're like, there's that Asian man, good for him, you know, like
Right.
Yeah. Ooh.
And then part 2 of the question, Rogers the Musical. I would like to think that Rogers the Musical, though it's during like attack on New York, might span all of the like 12-year canon that we have so far.
Sure.
If that's the case, I would Shuri, because I look just like her, and I think that's why I wasn't casting Black Panther to begin with. So I want my redemption arc. That's what's happening.
I mean, that's the answer.
That's a great question.
I won't lie. When I saw that sequence, like I was like, "Oh, this is really, really cool." And then they like were playing around with Clint's like feelings during it, and then I was like, I don't know if I like this sequence anymore, because I felt where I was like, oh, it's so personal. Like it's real sometimes, like even being in New York and watching a musical, like where I'm like, ooh, I see all the work here, but like the substance is gone for me, like because I'm just seeing so much flash. But like for him, I was like, ooh, you traumatized, bro. He is traumatized. I'm like, I a part of me is like, I know, like I would see articles on the internet, and I'd be like, ooh, I understand people really love that Rogers the Musical and it could happen from him. Part of me is like, I don't know, bro, you might be going to some hard place where I'm like, you're not giving the seriousness of like what actually happened and how people died. I'm just like, ugh.
But honestly, that's often a lot of content. It's like, this is the real thing that happened, but like people don't want to watch that, so let's add some sex and jazz it up. Like that's a lot of things.
That's true.
I mean, because Hamilton, as lyrically amazing as it is, all the people in the original cast especially were incredibly talented. But when you really think about who the founding fathers were, like, can I cuss on this podcast?
Oh yeah, go.
Fuck those guys. Like, they're all people, right? But like when Hamilton's playing, you're like crip walking to like because all of the songs are bops. So it's hard to go like, this is the history. But to make it entertaining, you might still retain what's happening, but we might water down the real impact of what these people have done. And that becomes tricky. And I think there's a moral responsibility there to either give context for real, or to own up to the fact that you're not being true to the story. So for Clint, I can't imagine how traumatizing that was to like watch some of your best friends, because people forget that at this point, Tony's also dead. So you're watching this guy like on some ripcord, like, man, Iron Man. And you're like, that was like, this dude died to save the entire universe.
Yeah.
Like, why are you? And then not let alone his best friend is gone. And then they made him some like guy in a cutoff t-shirt. Like,
oh my God.
That's what I'm like, I don't know if I would actually like, part of me would be like, I don't know if I would want to watch Rogers the Musical because of this traumatizing point. Like a part of me was like, oh, I don't know.
Nah, I flip tables on the way out. I'd be so mad.
I had a friend that was said something because people were like, the production value of this musical is so bad. I don't understand. And someone responded and said, I saw Superman the musical in Chicago, and I'm gonna say it was actually not that far off from what they did. So
I believe that, and that's unfortunate because sometimes too. Sorry, I could go on a soliloquy about all of this.
No.
I know they did the same thing with Spider-Man, and I don't think that ever really got to get off the ground, no pun intended, because of all the injuries of people trying to like
do the stuff.
The ground. I really didn't mean for that to be the word there.
Can I just say, really randomly, superheroes don't sing. That's just my opinion. It's so weird to me to watch superheroes sing. I don't understand.
But can't they also have
unless it's
like
their power
characters, you know?
They can, but it feels weird to me because the musicals are in this already fanciful world, right? It's like you're gonna take like Spider-Man, for instance. We're gonna take this, web shooting, slinging, and he's saving the world, and then he's gonna stop and sing a song. Like I know that, like it just feels.
But that's why Bono wrote the music.
To give it that realism.
It fixed it. It fixed everything.
I do stress like the idea of like stressing your disbelief or when it comes to theater. I think it's not as conducive for superpowers or superpowered stories as animation or as a film.
Because you're already suspending belief.
Yeah, I think that there's like that's where I'm like, hey, this is actually not the medium where it needs to be. You put it where it needs to actually be, because like I don't want to, when it comes to powers, when it comes to genuine like actual like I'm cool with like a practical or CGI set to help keep this story. Like I don't want to have to suspend so much, and that's like I have a lot of theatrical training, so a part of me feels like I'm betraying something to say that, but I'm like but I'm also a comic book nerd like from like 5 years old, so like let my
there's a place and a time.
There's a place and a time. Place and a time.
Yeah.
But I will say I would pay actual money to see a scene with MJ, played by Zendaya, Yelena, Florence Pugh, and Haley Steinfeld as Kate Bishop, because the three of them, well, two of them have like #1 singles. People forget that they have were pop stars at some point. And then Florence actually can like pull out a guitar real quick and sing to you. Like it's so I would love for the three of them, like, Destiny's Child style, to just hit randomly.
I like it.
Florence Pugh.
We would be upset, but we would also be grateful. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
I'm mad, but it's beautiful.
I'm like, ugh.
Oh, why do I like this so much?
Yes, that's what it. Yeah.
I can't help it.
So Adetinpo, I know that you also have been doing a lot of producing recently. What are some projects coming up that you're really excited about, or that you've done in the recent past?
I did a project called Clean Slate with my film partner. It's sci-fi, which I love, and it's sci-fi about Black people because they just really forget 1,000 years in the future. Apparently, we don't exist. You know what I mean? So we set this thing in the very immediate future, but the tech is there that makes it sci-fi, and it's just. I don't like to write very much because it takes so long, and I'd rather like make somebody else's story and like get the content out. But when we really sat down and put that story together, I'm really proud of what it turned into. And now it's in the festival circuit. And we just got into a festival like Barcelona. So I'm like, somebody else liked it too.
Congratulations.
Thank God for
That's
Jesus.
awesome.
Like, no, thank you. I don't know, I don't know. I just did it and it worked out. So I love that story because it's also, the partners are both like, we're cast to be African as well. They're like really in love and fighting for their love. And it's like healthy love, like that kind of stuff. There are a lot of key points we were able to hit that aren't often in the media as much as they should be.
So are those the stories that you like to tell? Do you like to tell like sci-fi, like fantasy type stories? Yeah.
Well, sci-fi specifically.
Sci-fi.
But I think there's always a world for fantasy because being Nigerian and being Yoruba, I think there's also the room for magical realism as well, because you can't then ignore that Ifa exists, right? So there might be a time where you see somebody go up to like a candle and like, burn a feather, and I don't know if that's actually a thing. And I mean, I'm saying this with full respect, but like do whatever and then move on. But you can't ignore that is imbued with power because the person believes it. So sci-fi though is short answer. Sci-fi is my thing.
Is there any way for us to see that?
Yes.
Eventually we'll be able to release it, but while it's in the circuit, we can't because some places want it to premiere at their festival. Like that's the first time it's playing in Iowa. So if it's somewhere accessible, then that kind of takes away the opportunity.
Right. And so I know you mentioned that you're Nigerian. What does Adetinpo mean?
It's my favorite translation is the line of royalty has been extended.
Oh, okay.
That's why I laugh because it's like super grandiose. Like my parents were not pulling punches.
No.
So if you have an African friend at home, if you have a Nigerian friend and you're watching this, Ade is a prefix that means like wealth or crown or like abundance. Ting is like is or exists more, and then Bo is more, like excess. So my name means like wealth is here in excess. But when I asked like some auntie, she was like, the line of royalty has been extended. And I was like, yeah, okay, I'll go with that. Like that sounds prettier than what I said. So go for it.
Can you say your name? Can you say your name as it's meant to be pronounced? I guess.
Ooh, I'm gonna try, and I'm gonna get dragged for this. But Black Twitter, be nice to me. It's Adetinpo.
That's beautiful.
But imagine that in like a mouth of a 4-year-old. So like it's only recently that I understand the intonations because people don't realize when you talk about like Japanese, it's a tonal language, but so is Yoruba. The OKO, oko, depending on how it's pronounced, means wife, husband, or car. I'm not knife. I said knife, right? Knife, husband, or car.
Knife,
one word. Okay. So if I'm like, I'm gonna go get my oko, like either we're about to fight, still fight my husband, or I'm gonna go get the car so we can go somewhere. Like, which one is it?
Wow.
It's a lot at stake. So when I did that episode of Legacies, where they go back to like 16th century Nigeria and we're speaking Yoruba, which is nerve-wracking. We had one of our other cast members who's an older auntie to us because deference is real. She was like, okay, you're pronouncing this word wrong. And I'm like, okay, thank you. Because it really needs to hit the points or people who are Yoruba are listening and it doesn't make sense.
Right.
Okay. That's fair.
Yeah. That reminds me of, I think I was reading Born a Crime and Trevor Noah was talking about something similar because he speaks like 1,000 languages. But yeah, amazing. Your name is beautiful. So
thank you
for
I
sharing
really like it.
Yeah. And I know that you had mentioned to me that Devotion's coming up. When did you film that?
It was actually filming during the time we were doing Hawkeye.
Okay.
Wild because I also did a commercial at the same time, and I think another project. But because I wasn't there every day and I wasn't in every episode, there would be times where I had downtime and it aligned well enough that I could then go get COVID tested, have the fitting, and then now I'm in this project. But it was dope. We were in Savannah for a couple of weeks actually.
Wow. Can you tell us anything about that project? I mean, I know it has.
Yeah, Devotion. It's based on a book. The character Jonathan Majors plays is a fighter pilot in the Korean War. I take such pregnant pauses. I was laughing. It was going to sound so intense, and it wasn't. It's a period piece about this fighter pilot in the Korean War and his experience being the first Black man to ascend to that position, and then what his squad was like, and how him and his family, his wife, dealt with that and existed.
Wow. Okay.
I imagine it's going to be really beautiful. The script is great. And it's a Sony project. I think the budget was like $90 million or something crazy.
Wow.
And then the cast, it's like Joe Jonas, Christina Jackson. Like it's a lot of really like highly talented and then known people.
Wow.
Yeah, so I'm excited.
And that comes out sometime next year. I saw something that said maybe like in springish, but then I saw something else that said August, and I was like, I don't know.
Yeah, they really don't tell us. Like I might see that in theaters for the first time. Like we'll see how important they think I am, and then that'll dictate when I get to watch it.
I don't know, since with your forays into the superhero world, have you been to any cons ever in your life, like Comic Cons or?
I never have had the opportunity because things never lined up well enough.
Sure.
No one's reached out and asked me, though. If you ask me, low key, I'd probably go to every single one. Bring me out there and pay me to be there, just so I can pay my bills too. Like, I'm gonna sign all the autographs. I'm gonna take all the pictures.
Everybody to officially come to Dragon Con.
Yes.
Yeah.
A whole different experience when you know where to get the food. And
Yeah.
how to get your beverages into the venue.
Okay.
Oh, secret.
I'll have you as security.
I would like to know who you'd like to dress up as if you were to go to a Comic-Con. First time.
So 2 different characters come to mind immediately. Okay, 3. One being a Dora Milaje, obviously.
Yeah.
Obviously.
Yeah.
And what's funny is I feel like my hero costume in Hawkeye looks like the Dora Milaje colors. I was like, y'all do this.
Oh yeah, it does.
The second character I would love to be, I don't know if you guys have read Children of Blood and Bone by
Yes.
what's that girl's name? She's Nigerian too, she's Yoruba.
Tommy.
I'm looking it up.
Yeah, tell us.
I don't want to say that last name because I'm gonna mess it up.
Here it is. Oh, Tomi
Adeyemi.
Yeah,
See,
yeah.
I was like, I know I'm gonna botch that
Tomi
last name.
Adeyemi. It's a really beautiful story. And the lead girl, though she is like a teenager, has like stark white hair and like these really colorful clothes. And I feel like that would be a cool one to do. And lastly, growing up, funny enough, to circle back to another question from before, I've always wanted to be Storm. The Halle Berry Storm, and then they went back in the past and did the younger version of all the X-Men.
Yeah.
Storm Darkskin did.
I much prefer this complexion choice. You're right. This should be redone.
So I've always wanted to do that. But I also heard so much of the discourse if they were going to bring them in a new Storm in the Black Panther story, because obviously Storm, depending on which version you're looking at, get married. But of course, he very devastatingly lost Chadwick. So it's like, okay, where are they going to go with this? I don't know if they brought in a Storm or not. But I feel like the pressure would have been probably too much, or more than I would have wanted. And also, I bet my name was not on a short list for that, because there's women in my like age range that look similar to me, or we have a similar aesthetic that could have done it instead.
I love that you said Storm. We were talking about our origin stories, and she was definitely part of mine growing up. So I love that you said that. I feel like Storm held it down for dark-skinned kids and like Black kids in general. Like she was like the one that kind of held it down for us. So,
and I think also, sorry, this is gonna get kind of weird, but I wonder if she has like a scratching kink, because there's also a version where she's with Wolverine. Yeah. And I was like, wait, hold on, Storm, what you doing in bed?
No, I was like, I did not know where that was going.
I'm sorry, I took it there, but like, no.
I knew exactly where you were going.
I was like, Storm, what is this? Tell us. It's okay, we're open.
Precious metals, all of that.
No judgment.
I was just like, Wolverine, you should just pick Storm instead of like pining after someone who's never gonna love you.
Yeah.
Ever. Like seriously, you're never gonna she's never gonna marry you. You're never gonna be a boyfriend. It's just not gonna happen. You can have that fall, but like she's gonna choose Scott every time. Just be with Storm. It's fine. It's fine.
Yeah.
It's better than fine.
It's better than fine.
It's better than fine.
I think when it comes to Storm has not been like, she's so amazingly, she's so powerful, and I don't think the movies have ever given her enough time or enough justice to see what that power is.
Because wasn't she one of the most strong?
Yes,
one of the strongest X-Men. Yeah, she was. If anything, she alone could have fought most of the villains, but
and
let a Black woman be the savior.
Right. Yes. Well, they reduced her to shocking a frog in the first movie, and once I saw that, it was like, okay,
Yeah.
I guess we
Yeah.
see where
Right.
this is going.
Right.
Yeah.
Mm.
But
Representation matters,
yes, it does.
especially when it's executed properly.
Yes.
Yes, it does.
Speaking of representation, kind of, for Black Lightning, when it came to Jamillah Olsen, was that officially like a Jimmy Olsen like retcon thing in the universe? I always wondered about that.
No one's ever said so to me.
Okay.
When they started crossing over into the Flash universe, I was like, would I get to meet Jimmy? Am I? Oh. And then people were like talking about it on Twitter and like tagging the writers, but they neither confirmed nor denied what was going on there. Though I wish I knew the answer.
Oh, that would be awesome.
Yeah, it's just so like Jimmy Olsen has like of the non-powered individuals in any universe, Jimmy Olsen has just one of the most popular names aside from like Lois Lane, obviously, and J. Jonah Jameson and some of those. Really, the newspaper people. It's the newspaper people that anybody cares about. Yep, that helps. Let's see. I had another question about when it comes to Hawkeye, have they talked about a season 2 at all? I just haven't looked up to see if they've announced anything about it. Great.
I can
love
neither
that.
Confirm nor deny.
I love that answer because it's an answer in and of itself for me. Anyway.
Okay. Yeah.
Great. Amazing.
I would love
Tom
Hawkeye
Holland you
season 2.
today. I would love.
Yeah.
I would love one.
Honestly,
It's
I
good.
would really love.
Yeah.
It was a
I
good
hear
season.
good things, so I'm looking forward to
We
it.
had a great time.
Yeah, you guys were
It
really
definitely
cool.
looked like it.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you for that. There's been a lot of support of the LARPers because they are the everyman, and they are also first responders. Though they kind of sprung that on us after we got cast, I will say. And also, I'm just saying so that it becomes canon that these ladies are bisexual. I don't know that's technically the case, but it is now. And also, so it becomes canon. Wendy Conrad is on the bomb squad of the NYPD.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
She's cool, you know.
Have you ever LARPed before, or are you interested in LARPing now that you've gone through that process?
Oh, I totally do it. I would totally do it. I don't know anybody who does. I've also tried to, well, I haven't tried that hard, but I have tried to join like the ongoing games of Dungeons and Dragons. I know some of my friends, but LARPing would be very fun, I think, and I would love to start.
I know they do it up
Get a
here.
group together, we can do it.
Okay. I know they do it up in Fort Tryon Park, but I don't know when. I remember when I used to live up
They sure
in
do.
Inwood. Yeah, because there's a whole castle up there.
Yeah.
So I used to-
I will say,
Oh my God.
though, I will say that I worked at a Renaissance fair.
Yes.
I was at a Renaissance fair for like 4 months, like 6 years ago. And what's funny is that my character was loosely based on
Is it
Denai Guerrera's
Picture?
character. And there you go. Yeah, my sword, they put in my back like it was a katana. And loosely based on Michonne.
Nice.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I named my sword Okomi.
I had to stop watching The Walking Dead after season 6 because I got mad. I watched
It was
the
mad.
beginning of season 7 and I got mad.
I completely understand that.
Yeah.
I got
What
traumatized.
season are they on now?
It was
10.
season
Or they-
11.
11? They're about to end, right?
Yeah, they're about
They're
to end.
ending
They're
with
about to
11, I
end.
think.
Okay.
Ending
Okay.
11.
I think they're ending with 11.
Gotcha.
Yeah, I stopped
And
it.
then
I stopped
there's-
at season
And then there's
8.
movies coming.
Oh, right.
Yeah, Stephen Yeun's one of my. I mean, he's an incredible actor and such a good person. That imagine that being the biggest flex in your whole life. You kill off my character, and like 16 million people stopped watching the show.
Yeah. I mean,
Like, imagine that.
Thank you for speaking for me, please.
Thank you.
Where I was just like, you. The thing is, I knew it was coming because I'd read the comics. I'd read the comics, but my problem really was like, from a showrunner perspective, season 6 ended in a way where you're like, oh, let's bring in Negan, let's do this like someone's gonna die. And you're like, okay, great, and then someone dies, you don't know who it is. So you got to wait 7 months.
Right.
And then not only that, in the first episode of season 7, they killed 2 people. And I was like, this doesn't feel like you were telling a story. This feels like you're fucking with me. Stop it. And I was like,
Yeah.
I'm good. Because like it's The Walking Dead. They've been walking for a long time. The dead are still here. I'm like, I feel like I'm not getting any joy from this. I'm just depressed. I actually don't need this right now. So you mess with me, I'm good. I can watch something else.
No, that's genuinely fair. Because I don't like when they really get you to invest in a character and then just for shock and awe, they're pulled out of the show. Because then obviously the stakes are higher for all the other characters. So you're like, oh my God, anybody can die. What's going to happen next?
Right.
It messes with trust. And I think a lot of us, there's trust involved
it was a trust
in these relationships because there's so much time is being spent.
Yeah.
Don't you think though that was what they were, I guess, trying to build in this world anyway? Kind of like the way Game of Thrones is like nobody is safe. Like I felt like that's what they were trying to do, but I don't know that they established it enough in the first 6 seasons to get that kind of payoff and to get what they wanted with those characters being killed off.
What I would say, and to that point, I don't think killing Glenn was the issue. I think it was how gratuitous the violence was.
Yeah.
Because people understand on the show, but it was like, okay, he's dead. I don't want to keep watching this spiked baseball hitting this eyeball. Like, please pull away from this. But it felt, a term we use in theater is masturbatory. And I think at that point, people were like, you've already killed a character we really like and have been rocking with since the first episode. And now you're just rubbing it in my face that he's dead.
Yeah.
I think that's why a lot of people were like, I'm good. Because if this is what you're going to do, I don't need any more of it.
Right. That's fair. Yeah.
My heart is like, I already deal with, like, life can be quite hard. It can be quite
right.
Hard. I'm just like, I understand, like, I was expecting him to die. I get that. But there's something about the choice of, like, not letting you know, then making you wait, then the gratuitous of it. Like, it was like a wham bam together where it was like, I actually don't feel I'm actually getting a story anymore. I think that you have taken some time to just mess with your audience, and that's where I'm like, I'm out. I can watch.
And those are absolutely the layers on the cake. The icing on the cake of why I was too traumatized to keep watching is because while they're filming season 7, Trump was elected. I can only do so much. I can only have things be so traumatizing in my real life and then on my TV screen. So that was a lot of people that the weight was too much to be able to handle both. I think a lot of heavy shows lost a lot of viewership during that time.
That's true.
People couldn't handle.
That's real. They stopped making Black
people couldn't handle it. Yeah, they literally stopped for that reason. They were like, I've seen a billboard where it was just a mirror. And I was like, well, y'all fucked around and then found out. So I guess we don't need to make it anymore. It's like when The Onion was like, we can't make, we're losing money because we couldn't write this shit. Like, it was the same with Black Mirror. They're like, we don't want to add to the sadness. Sorry, y'all.
Well, I know that we're coming toward the end of our time here with you, Adetinpo, but I wanted to give you the opportunity to let people know where they can find you on the interwebs.
I am Adetinpo, that's me, on Instagram and Twitter. I technically have a Facebook page for my acting work, but like, and I technically have a YouTube channel, but like, So Instagram, Twitter, Adetinpo, that's me.
Amazing. It's been so good to have you. We're so happy you could join us today. You are
this is so good, you guys. Yeah.
You're our first interview, and I just want to we did that. It was super fun. Hopefully we see you around again. We see you around again, and hopefully we see you in the universes again somewhere. Somehow.
Yeah. Hopefully every year I can come back still talking about Hawkeye or Marvel adjacent something. Yes. Also, you guys are dope. I would just come back and chit chat anyway.
Please come
reach out.
I'm literally just sitting in my room, just talking to myself about these things. So I thought I might as well invite other people to do it with me.
And you know what? I think people underestimate the power of trying and the power of believing in yourself enough to do something that might not work out. Mm-hmm. So congratulations. I'm proud of you as well.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate it. But the rest of the team, if you could sign off
Hey everybody, Jamal James again. You can find me at the Jamal James on Instagram. He, him, his, my pronouns. I got Facebook and I got Twitter, but don't really use it that much.
Omar Washington here. He, him. And again, you can't find me on social media right now because my pages are private. In the meanwhile, you can find me here.
Does that mean it's my turn? Oh.
It does mean it's your turn. You're-
Richard Harden, he, him. You can find me at Richard_Harden. It's HARDON. I'm on YouTube, Instagram, Facebook, but I'm usually talking about money on there. Peace up.
Generational wealth.
Hey everybody, my name is Jason Williams. You can find me on Instagram. I'm under my favorite Power Ranger, Blue Ranger 83.
And I am Zuri Washington, she, her pronouns. You can find me at Zuri with a fringe on top. That's Zuri with a Z, not Suri with an S. And don't forget to follow the podcast on Supa Black Podcast. And on IG and on Twitter, you can find us at Supa Podcast. And I want to again thank our special guest, Adetinpo Thomas, for being here.
Guys.
She was fabulous.
So much fun.
And don't forget, should you need heroes, we've got your back. We fear no topic, we attack. If conversation is what you lack, you'll find it here with Supa Black. Bye.